Great, thank you, Ryan. I'm Joelle, and I am a certified wellness coach and fitness trainer, and I'm going to be sharing with you the fitness side information about information that you could use on a daily basis to make healthier choices in your life. And Deb is here with me to share the nutrition side. So let's just jump right in.
So this one right here.
Wonderful. Okay, so quick outline, just so you know where we're going with this. We are going to take a little bit of time to talk about the benefits of making healthy choices around your fitness and nutrition. And we'll go through nutrition first, fitness next. We'll wrap up the presentation talking about healthy tips and how you can use these ideas around your workplace, around your home, and also we're going to talk about how to get these started, because we do know that it is difficult to make some of these changes, albeit even though they sound so easy to do, but we're definitely going to be helping you with that. So first of all, let's jump right into the personal benefits. Of course, most of us know that by making healthier choices around our nutrition and fitness, we will be reducing our health risks. And there are hundreds of different ways that this can show up in our lives. But this will be the first place to start looking. Of course, more immediate in our life is the stress and the energy that we tend to need and have for doing our activities, living our lives. And actually, we want to be feeling better about ourselves, feeling less stressed, feeling more energy. And when we make these healthier choices, we have the opportunity to access this on a more immediate basis. So it's a little bit more immediate than, say, most of the health risks that show up in our lives. Those show up after a long term, not making these choices. Of course, mental clarity is another area that we can benefit. Our immune system will be healthier as a result. That shows up to be less sick days, but also just how we feel in general. We want to feel better in general, so that's an immediate benefit as well. And excuse me, and also improved physical capabilities. How we function in life is very, very important. So if you think about all the different things that you do on a regular basis, every day from when you wake up to when you go to sleep, we need our bodies to function mentally and physically. And so making healthier choices will have an impact on our functionality. And of course, we all just want to feel good about ourselves.
Thanks, Joelle. So in addition to personal benefits, there's also what we call workplace benefits. And you can think about it in terms of creating a culture of health at the workplace. So when individuals at a workplace start to engage in healthier life habits, it does resonate as into the workplace. People become more productive, and they take less sick days off, like Joelle mentioned, and increased presenteeism. So when you're at work, so you have less absenteeism, but presenteeism means you're really at work. So you're not in the haze. You're really there, and you're engaged, and you're fully functional with all that mental clarity. And so that is sort of a change in the culture that results from the workplace being healthier. And people are just happier about their jobs. They have more job satisfaction and a much more positive attitude. And interestingly, how people relate to one another when people start to become healthier and create this culture of wellness at the workplace, the relationships between people have more patience with each other. They're just friendlier. They're happier. They're in a better mood. So workplace relationships improve. And then for everyone, both for the employer and the employee, there's a reduction in healthcare costs. So, and while this drives sometimes a lot of the decisions to bring wellness into the workplace, it is a benefit for everyone to reduce healthcare costs. So what I'm going to do is jump into nutrition. And we're going to I start really every seminar that I talk about nutrition just re-emphasizing the importance of nutrition. And I think we sort of know that, you are what you eat, and if you have a good diet, you'll be healthier. But I just want to re-emphasize some of the finer points. So what we know is that illnesses are linked to inadequate diets and obesity. The Centers for Disease Control does a lot of studies every year, and I'll talk a few times about some of the research they do. They did a study last year that shows now that poor diet and obesity is more dangerous to your health than smoking, which is a pretty amazing fact. And so that link is just more and more profound, and we're seeing it in our healthcare system, and we're seeing it in our daily lives. And one of the key points is that lifestyle and food choices are more important than your genetic predisposition. So you might have a genetic predisposition for heart disease or diabetes, but it's the nutrition and the fitness or lifestyle choices that turn those genes off or on. And we know more and more about how DNA works and how genes work. And so know that even though you might have a genetic predisposition towards an illness, you have a lot of control whether you actually turn those genes on and actually have that illness show up in your life. We also know that people feel so much better when they eat a healthy diet and they exercise, and that's something I think we all want to reach, is just feeling better. We also know that people who live a healthy diet live longer than those who eat a diet that's comprised of junk food or processed foods. And again, in that same study by the CDC, they're also saying now that kids born today, based on today's diet, kids born today are going to live a shorter lifespan than their parents. And this is the first time that has ever happened, because kids have always outlived their parents. So it's starting to turn the other way unless we turn our food choices, we turn things around and improve our food choices. So what drives our food choices? Nice place to go next. Unfortunately, convenience drives most of our food choices. Other things drive food choices like taste, habits that we fall into, social settings that we engage in, just how we view ourselves. We eat for emotional support. I'll talk about cost in a minute, but when we look at what drives food choices, unfortunately, nutrition falls at the bottom of the list. So one of the things that you can do, even before you change anything in your diet, just ask yourself, when you start to eat a meal, ask yourself, why are you picking this particular food to eat? Is it because it's convenient? Are you in a habit? Is it because it makes you feel good emotionally? Or are you picking this food because it has a lot of nutrition? And I would want you to just create an awareness around that and start selecting foods that are more nutritious. So take nutrition and put it at the top of your list instead of at the bottom. Now, cost. Americans spend less money on food than almost every other industrialized country in the nation. Europeans spend, and the Japanese each spend about 40% of their take-home income on food. We spend 10% of our take-home income on food, which is sort of a sad state of affairs. But in America we have lots of things we want to spend our money on, and unfortunately we don't see food as a priority. So take a look at your budget and maybe start shifting your budget, because it is true that if you're going to embark on some healthier eating habits, you are going to spend some more money on food. So again, we select foods a lot based on convenience and habits, and we fall into these nutrition ruts, is what I call them. So what are the most common ruts that we fall into? Well, we tend to eat overly processed food, right? It's convenient, it's readily available, and it's also low in nutrients. Okay? Anything that's been processed heavily is going to be nutrient compromised. And it's going to most likely include artificial ingredients, chemical additives, preservatives. I mean, foods can sit on a shelf in the grocery store for months, if not years, because it's heavily processed and it's got lots of additives and preservatives. You really do want to eat food that rots, is what I tell people. So we get into this rut of eating packaged processed food. We, as a country, are in a big sugar rut, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Another rut we get into is we get so wrapped up into what we're doing, mostly our jobs or activities with kids and families, is that we skip meals. Skipping meals is really hard on the body, and I'll talk more about how that affects us. We eat too fast. So here we are. We've got food choices that are low in nutrients, and then we eat them really fast. And when you eat food really fast, your digestive processes are compromised. There's a saying called rest and digest. You need to eat slowly. You need to eat mindfully if you want to absorb all the nutrition from your food. And too little variety. Variety is the spice of life. It's also the way to get all of the nutrients you need in your diet. So a rut of just eating the same things every day is a really, really common one. And then we also follow it sort of hand in hand with the overly processed foods. We don't eat enough raw foods. And if you think about, we are biological beings. Food is alive. It's full of nutrition, and it's most full of nutrients when it's in its alive form, so when it's raw. So that's another rut that's very common. So what happens? We fall into these ruts, and I think probably everyone on this call can relate to at least a few of these. And what I see in my practice is you fall into these ruts, and then the next thing that happens when you've been skipping meals and eating processed foods for some period of time, it can happen pretty quick, but you do this over years, you start to have what I call blood sugar imbalances. So I would say 90% of the clients that I work with one-on-one have blood sugar imbalances. So what do I mean by that? So basically we eat food to give us energy. So we eat food, the food goes into our digestive system, it gets converted into glucose. Some of that glucose gets used for immediate energy, and some of that glucose gets stored for fuel for our bodies later. And so the body is able to manage our blood sugar as well as it needs to be managed. I mean, our body knows how to do it if given the proper diet. So when you fall into those nutrition ruts, you start to create symptoms of blood sugar imbalance. For example, how many people crave sweets during the day? That's not something that is natural. That's a symptom of blood sugar imbalance. Must have sweets after meals. So not feeling like you're finished with your meal until you have sugar. Depending on coffee or sugar to keep yourself going. How many people listening here today at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon have that afternoon lull where they need to hit the vending machine or they need to go get some coffee to keep themselves going? That's your blood sugar tanking. That's a blood sugar imbalance symptom. Getting lightheaded or irritable if meals are missed. I'm sure people here can relate to that. Eating to relieve fatigue. Another blood sugar imbalance symptom. Poor memory, forgetfulness. And this really comes, like if you skip meals, say you skip lunch, and then you start to go into this haze in the afternoon, you reach for coffee or sugar, and you start to go into that mental fog. That's a blood sugar imbalance. So now you can kind of look at your own life and say, okay, do I have some symptoms of blood sugar imbalance? Perhaps. So what do? This is where when we look at simple choices that you can make, I'm not going to give you any fancy diet here. I'm just going to give you some simple do's and don'ts that are going to make a profound difference in your life. And if you follow the blood sugar rules, you can actually feel better inside of a week. This doesn't take a long time to have an effect on your body. First one, never skip meals, okay? Our bodies are not designed to have a constant source of energy. And so what happens is your body will go into this famine mode where it thinks that you're not feeding it, and so it starts to, your metabolism starts to alter to accommodate for skipped meals. Your blood sugar gets too low. You need to eat 3 main meals and 2 to 3 snacks throughout the day. Grazing through the day is not a bad thing, and sometimes it can just be a handful of nuts. Eating a protein-centered breakfast within 1 hour of waking. breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and I'll give you a list of healthy breakfast choices here in a few slides, including protein and fiber with all meals and snacks. So what's happening in our common American diet, and one of the ruts we get into, is when we eat these overly processed foods, they're high in carbohydrates. You know, it's the cookies and the donuts and the pastas and the breads. And those carbohydrates have to be balanced out with protein and fiber in order to manage blood sugar. So, so think about protein and fiber with all meals and snacks. So protein can be meat, it can be beans, legumes, nuts, seeds. So hand in hand, reducing the carbohydrates that are found in all these processed foods, and then reducing sugar intake. So sugar is also just a carbohydrate. So if you follow these rules, you'll have more energy throughout the day, and you're going to feel better. And this is all very doable. Sugar has no positive nutrition value. It interferes with our immune system. It requires nutrients for our metabolism. It interferes with good bacteria. And sugar really upsets the balance of our bodies. So, you know, we reach for sugar because we get quick energy from it. But if you can follow those blood sugar rules with more protein and fiber and avoid sugar, you're going to do your body a world of good, and you're going to feel different. Okay? So we're going to keep moving here because I want to go over a few healthy eating tips before we jump into the fitness. Eating whole, fresh foods. Pretty obvious. I kind of feel like sometimes my job as a nutrition therapist is really easy because I tell people to eat real food, right? So how hard can that be? But it is hard because it does take some time to prepare fresh foods. I encourage people to spend time on the weekends preparing foods for the week. Lots of variety. Again, get out of that rut and rotate foods into your diet. Improve how you eat. Rest and digest, right? Take 10 or 15 minutes away from the computer to eat. Eating more raw foods so you get the maximum amount of nutrients in your diet, and drinking more water. If you did only one thing over the next couple of days, if you had to pick one thing, I would say drink more water. Most people are walking around chronically dehydrated. You need half your body weight in ounces of water for cellular hydration. So if I weigh 150 pounds, I need 75 ounces of water a day for my cells to be hydrated so that the cells can function the way they need to function. Okay? And do something that's sustainable. There's no fad diet that is the best diet or even a good diet. I'm not an advocate of dieting. Dieting is stressful on the body. You want to just create a healthy eating lifestyle. Okay? The 50-50 rule, make better choices 50% of the time. Think about that. So we as a society, we want to do things 100% of the time, right? And then if we don't do it 100%, we feel like we failed. So from a food standpoint, make better choices 50% of the time, and you are going to do so much good for your body. Very quickly, the dirty dozen. So, you know, eating organic is a great change to incorporate into your diet, but a lot of us, myself included, can't afford everything organic. This is a list that you can refer to later that has the dirtiest. So in that apple there, you see the words dirty dozen. This is a group that every year they assess the dirtiest produce that's on the market. These are the 12 that are most sprayed, you know, the heaviest use of pesticides and herbicides. So what's number one? Apples. Apples is a very common fruit that a lot of people eat. It's also very high in pesticides and herbicides. So even if you only bought apples organic and everything else regular produce, you'd be eliminating a lot of toxins and chemicals from your diet. In fact, they say that the people who publish this list, they say that if you eat the dirty dozen organic, buy those organic, you can actually eliminate 80% of the pesticides and herbicides that are in your diet currently. So just a couple of slides here. So here's your healthy breakfast choices. Remember, we want to start with a high-protein, high-fiber breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That's what your grandmother said, and it's totally true. Sets the tone for your metabolism, for your blood sugar balance. And if you don't have an appetite in the morning, a lot of people say, but I'm not hungry in the morning, you know, and they're used to just the coffee and out the door. One, those people typically are chronically dehydrated. So if you start increasing your water intake, you will actually find that you'll develop more of a hunger in the morning. And then part of it, too, is the body's in a pattern of not of a slow metabolism in the morning because it's already, you've conditioned it to not be active in the morning. So I say just start slowly. You know, have just a little half of an apple, a couple of slices of apple if you really aren't hungry in the morning, just to start retraining your body. This is a really important first step towards making healthful decisions. Healthy lunch alternatives. You know, we select lunch often because of convenience. Start, again, thinking about your lunch choices based on nutrition. And here's some options here. This is, the photograph here is of a cooking class that my company conducted at a workplace, and we made wraps. Wraps are a great option. You can throw vegetables in them, and avocados, and hummus, and good lean proteins. And so we had everyone in the company making wraps, and then people were eating them and making them on their own for a healthy lunch alternative. Healthy snacks, too. Remember, not only do you not want to skip meals, but you want to snack throughout the day just to keep your blood sugar balanced. You want those snacks to include some healthy fruits and vegetables and some healthy proteins. And here's a list that you can refer back to get some ideas. And again, make stuff ahead of time so that every morning before you go to work, you're not stressed about making a healthy lunch and packing healthy snacks. Have that stuff ready to go.
Great. Thank you, Deborah. Wow, a lot of great information there. So let's talk about fitness. First of all, I'd like to go over why we exercise. So we talked earlier about benefits overall that we get from changing our fitness and our nutrition habits. But also, I'd like to really hone in right here on the specific benefits that you'll get from changing your fitness and conditioning. And up on your screen, you see that there's specific benefits that you gain from becoming more physically fit. So starting at the top, lean muscle mass is very, very important. So as we create more lean muscle mass in our body, we are improving our body composition. And by doing that, we are reducing the fat in our body, and we are becoming healthier. That's a direct line with reducing our health risks. Improving bone density, very, very important, especially for women, because as we get older, we have more of a tendency towards osteoporosis. So by increasing our lean muscle mass, we are actually also improving our bone density. Very, very important. Healthy, strong muscles equate to healthy, strong bones. Also, by exercising, we are promoting our aerobic endurance. And basically what that means is you are creating you're making your heart and your lungs work better, more efficiently, creating more endurance. And this is also a direct line to improving your and reducing your health risks. And then, of course, like we talked about earlier, reducing stress. It's been shown over and over again that by exercising, you can definitely reduce your stress, and that's more of an immediate effect as well as a long-term effect. Creating endorphins, very important, because the endorphins are our good hormones, our feel-good hormones. When we feel good about ourselves, when we feel energized, that's our endorphins are kicking in, and by exercising, actually, we can increase that. And just about any form of exercise will help with creating these endorphins. And like we said earlier, we can promote more restful sleep. And of course, when you sleep more and more fitfully, your body can heal itself. Your sleep time is the time that your body reheals, replenishes. And this is very, very important for your body to work at full capacity. And then, of course, like we said earlier, a healthy body resists illness. So keeping it strong and fit, you will probably have less illness. In fact, there's been studies that show that people that do exercise regularly do get fewer colds. And then, of course, we're gaining strength, flexibility, energy, and focus just by exercising. So what is exercise? According to the ACSM, which is the American College of Sports Medicine, exercise is defined as the planned repetitive bodily movement done to improve or maintain one or more components of physical fitness. So this is kind of a more formal definition of exercise. But exercise can be just anything that promotes muscle tone and aerobic improvement. So basically anything that you're doing that has your heart and your lungs working at a higher rate than you're used to, or it can be anything that's strengthening your muscles or creating more flexibility in your body can be deemed as exercise as well. And then a point that I want to make, and I'll make again, is even a little bit is beneficial. And if you look at this spectrum that we have here, this is kind of the spectrum of activity levels. You can be inactive. Of course, there's not a whole lot of benefit to being on that side. But unfortunately, most Americans do fall on that far left side. And you can start moving your body a little bit more and become physically active. And physically active is defined as just movement of the body that uses energy, anything that increases the blood flow. And so basically, it's just a step up from being inactive. And yes, you can gain benefits just by taking it one step up to becoming physically active. So the point that I really want to make here is that you don't have to go moving into that level of physical fitness, which is more of that planned repetitive movement. Maybe it is just walking a little bit more or a little bit farther, or doing something with a little bit more resistance. In any way, it doesn't have to be planned and repetitive to be exercise and for you to get the benefits. The definition of physical fitness is more in line with what I just mentioned earlier, the ACSM definition, and that's more the planned repetitive bodily movement. And that's usually what most people think of as exercise. So the point that I want to make once again is that, yes, you can step it up to that level of physical fitness, and you will be getting even more benefits, but you will still also be taking care of yourself and getting healthier, even if you just bring yourself up to the level of physical activity. And so I'd like to show this, this diagram and discuss the different areas of fitness, because the easiest way to break down fitness and being physically fit is looking at the three major components: the cardiovascular component, muscular strengthening, and the flexibility component. So cardiovascular is the aerobic component. It's what most people think of as aerobics. It's improving the heart and lung capacity and your endurance. Like I said earlier, this is helping you reduce risk of heart disease or high blood pressure, a lot of other health conditions. So improving this area is important. Muscle strengthening is defined as enhancing muscle tone and improving or increasing lean muscle mass. And then flexibility is lengthening of the muscles. And basically, it's the movement of the muscles around a joint, your range of motion around a joint. And the reason why the flexibility component is a little bit larger is because flexibility has more of an impact on your functionality. And of course, like I said earlier, your functionality, what you do on a daily basis is very important, because these are the things that we have to do, that we, how we're using our bodies on a regular basis. So our flexibility is very important. And of course, most people think that flexibility is the least important. In fact, the clients that I've worked with and the people I work with in the fitness settings, most of them would rather just drop out the flexibility component of their physical fitness. But really, it needs to happen on a regular basis. So, yes, you can exercise anywhere. So really important to note that you don't need a gym membership. You don't need to be inside to get fit. And what I'm going to be discussing today in this presentation is ideas of how you can use all these three components of exercise in just about any setting, whether you're at home or at the office or outside. The most important thing is, first of all, to be motivated. The motivation is what's going to get you going. All this information is all well and good, but it's the motivation that's going to get you going and keep you going. And then there's the determination and creativity. Hopefully I can give you some ideas, but I also recommend doing some research and maybe getting on the web and finding some exercise ideas that you can take with you anywhere. So let's breaking down the 3 components of your physical fitness. I'm going to start talking first about the cardiovascular aspect. And I'll go ahead and just put all these up. Of course, like I said, the cardiovascular aspect is the piece that we're focusing on improving the heart and lung capacity. So our heart and lungs are working more efficiently. And the easiest way to do this, of course, is walking. We all walk anyways. But you can hike, you can take the stairs, you can march, jog in place, or around wherever, down the hall or outside, dancing videos or DVDs, excuse me. And you can mix and match. The whole idea is to get your body moving. There's so many different ways. You can just jump around and get your heart and lungs working at a higher level. Okay, so it can be really simple. I know some of this sounds really silly, but it all is very doable. Like I said, motivation is one of the key components. And ideally, you want to be doing this component at least 30 minutes most days. And 10-minute blocks are okay. So very important as we, sometimes we get really busy, and sometimes we don't have 30 minutes. So if you can just take 10 minutes here and there, that still counts. So very important. I want to talk really briefly about walking, because walking, we're doing it anyway. So why not amp it up? Why not do it a little bit faster or on an incline, or doing something that makes it a little bit more difficult so we get more out of it? So we're already doing it. I do recommend getting a good pair of shoes, though, if you are walking more, because that's going to support your walking and support your body structure. Using a pedometer is really important, because actually the people that use a pedometer will walk farther. First of all, they're keeping track of it, and second of all, they're excited, they're challenged, they want to do more. So maybe even shooting for 10,000 steps, or maybe even if that's a challenge, you break it down into something smaller, more doable. Muscle training, this is the strength training aspect where you're focusing on increasing your muscle tone. And we have, basically, you just want to break down looking at the different parts of your body and how you can strengthen it. Very, very important, yes, we need to do all parts of our body. So a tendency is women tend to be a little bit stronger in their legs, and men tend to be a little bit stronger in the upper body. We want actually both sexes doing both areas, all areas of their body. So remember, for women, it is really important that you do this aspect, but we want to do it in all areas of our body. One of the points that I want to make is that the bones that will get stronger are the bones that are underneath the muscles that you are strengthening. So, so very important to work all areas to strengthen all your bones. Up on the screen, you see that there's just some brief ideas of doing strength training. This is also weight training, strength training, resistance training. Different exercises that you can be doing. So on with your legs, you can be doing stairs, you can be doing lunges, squats. Plyometrics is power moves, usually using the power of your legs to jump up or jump in some way. Upper body, you can be doing push-ups, shoulder presses, curls. The core of your body is most important, really, because if you are strong in your core, the rest of your body can be stronger. So your core is that girdle all the way around your middle, but it also includes some of your upper back and down into your hips. So, of course, doing crunches, Pilates, bicycle move. This is the bicycle move where you're on your back, pedaling your knees and your elbows towards each other. And then ideally, you want to be doing your strength training 2 to 3 times per week, all muscle groups. And then there's the stretching component, and this is like I said earlier, one of the most important things that you need to be doing. And yes, most days of the week you should be stretching. Stretching helps you reduce risk of injury. It decreases muscle tension, stress, lower back pain, or pain in any of the joints. Usually stretching helps. And it also helps improve your body-mind connection, your posture, and your ability to perform your daily activities. Your ADLs are your activities for daily living. That's the functionality part that I discussed earlier. So stretching helps improve your ADLs. And then I have up here just some other tips that you can use for stretching. Static stretching is very important. These are the stretches that you hold for a length of time. Ideally, you want to be warm when you hold a static stretch, but you don't have to be. I'd wake up first thing in the morning and I do some stretches, and my body's not that warm, but I'm just being really gentle with the stretches. So you can stretch even when your body is cold, but warming you will get more flexibility. Range of motion stretching, that's just moving a part of a body around a joint. So for example, if you're doing shoulder rolls, that's range of motion stretching around a joint. And then of course yoga. Yoga is stretching. It's also strengthening. So depending on the type of yoga you're doing, you can use it to greatly enhance the flexibility as well. And then you want to, like I said earlier, you want to stretch and relax all body parts daily. And I highly, highly, highly recommend you taking breaks on a regular basis from work so that you can stretch. And maybe it's just a couple of minutes that you get up and you stretch from your desk or from your computer or the activities you're doing. Defocusing your eyes. Your eyes are a muscle, so defocusing your eyes is really important, as well as stretching out the center of your core, like this gentleman is showing in this picture. You want to be stretching up and out because most of the time when we're sitting at our desk, we're sitting hunched over. And so we want to stretch up and back slightly to stretch out this area. And taking a couple minutes, even up to 5 minutes where you can stretch is really important, and you can come back to your work refreshed. Using full breathing is very important also, because a lot of times we're breathing shallowly, especially if we're stressed. So taking a full breath, where you're fully taking the breath slowly and then fully releasing the breath slowly. Coupling that with the stretching could be very, very beneficial, and it's very relaxing. So where to exercise? So you can exercise anywhere, really. Like I said, walking you can be doing anywhere. So you can get up and you can be walking just around your desk. You can be walking around your office or your home. You can walk outside. And like I said earlier, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a whole 30-minute bout. It could be just in just in 10 minutes you can get some value. At your home or office, you can also be doing various different strength training and stretching exercises. So I just put up a couple of ideas here. You can use the desk, the counter. You can use your chairs. You can use your hallway. You can use found objects. Found objects is basically anything you can find that can provide some resistance. So for example, a found object could be like a purse or a backpack or your computer. Be careful. Basically anything that you use for a little bit more resistance. You can use your hallways. You can do lunges down your hallways. You can high step it. You can use your stairwell. You can be doing lunges or taking the stairs 2 by 2. You can do heel lifts in your stairwell. You can make a plan to go from one level, maybe from the bottom of your building all the way up to the top. There's a lot of different things you can do. Like I said, creativity and making it work is very, very important. Errands, you could change your errands so you group errands together so you can get a little bit more exercise. You can walk faster. You can bring your knees up. You can do jacks while you're waiting. I know some of these might sound silly, but you can still get exercise in doing these. And sometimes do what you can. You can park farther away. Stroller, press, pull. That's just using an example of, like, for example, if you are pushing a stroller, you can push it away from you. There's some resistance, and you can pull it towards you. So by doing that, you're working in through the chest, pushing it away from you, and if you're pulling it towards you, you're working into the upper back. So you can be getting some strength training that way too. You can, in the outdoors, there's all kinds of found objects and varying terrain. So instead of just walking on a flat surface, you can change, maybe find some different terrain, whether it's the surface of the ground or maybe the ground is sloped. You can go long distances. It could be in the city environment, or if there's a local park. You can be getting out to some open space. You can do, instead of just going forward, you can go do something like a side shuffle. You can use trees, benches, poles, and whatnot also to press against or pull up your body to gain some strengthening as well. And then lastly, some other ideas. You can increase your opportunity and variety by purchasing some of those bands or the tubing or the fitness balls. These are things that you can have around with you. If you go outside, you can take the bands with you. You can take even small hand weights with you if you'd like. But you can keep bands and balls around in your office. And for example, the fitness balls you can be sitting on, that can help you improve your posture while you're sitting at your desk. You can have the bands around and add additional exercises. You can take the bands outside and use that for resistance as well. You can also do videos, DVDs. You can rent from your local library. There's quite a selection. And you can also be taking local classes at recreation centers. You don't have to pay a full membership. And then you can also just look around and see what other props you can find.
That's great. What I really like, Joelle, is the fact that what you're emphasizing is that you don't have to join the gym for fitness. And I know that I sort of fall into that mindset where, you know, eventually I'm going to join a gym and then I'm going to start working out. So obviously you've made it clear you don't have to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of give you a couple of summary slides that kind of summarizes all these tips. So just like we had the personal benefits and the workplace benefits, here's some personal tips, and then we'll do some creative sort of workplace tips. So you as an individual, these are the highlights, the things that we'd really love you to focus on. This is the low-hanging fruit of how to have a healthier diet. First one, eating breakfast. Packing a healthy lunch and snacks. And again, this is about time management and making time on the weekends or maybe one evening a week where you do some planning and kind of some bulk cooking so you have healthy options that are convenient. Taking breaks away from the computer, so that rest and digest, right? When you're sitting at your desk eating your lunch, you're not digesting as well as if you're sitting at a table, maybe even outside at a picnic table, and being relaxed while you're eating. And then drinking water. You know, just good quality water is such a great first step. There was a book that I read in nutrition school that its title, if you're interested in the whole water and health issue, the title of the book is "You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty," and it tells you all of the health conditions that are linked to dehydration. Exercise tips. Joelle said so profoundly, you got to get up and move. I mean, you just got to move your body to increase your heart rate. Go talk to colleagues instead of emailing. It just amazes me. You know, you could be sitting 2 offices away from somebody and you're emailing them or texting them, and you could just get up and walk to them and talk to them like we used to do in the old days. Standing and stretching. This is something I've really been trying to do more of lately, Joelle, is just standing and stretching. Older I get, the more aches and pains I get as well. Taking 10 to stretch, defocus, move, step outside. And when you can get some small equipment sort of pulled together, have that handy at your desk or, you know, at home in a convenient location so you can grab a band and maybe do some stretching with it, or a couple of small dumbbells and do some curls. So those are some personal tips. So now, you know, it's good to think about your workplace, and can you play a role in creating a culture of wellness at your workplace? You know, what are some activities? And maybe you lead these activities, or you get together with some of your friends and you guys, try to as a group create this wellness environment. At lunchtime, there are certainly nutrition and health trainings that are available through your EAP program. Maybe you can bring in some more educational resources, doing some group stretching and exercising, taking a walk, getting yourselves organized, doing some stress reduction. So maybe you go outside as a group and do some meditation. That's not that far-fetched. It's not difficult to meditate, or to just maybe do some yoga stretches and just sort of work on some stress reduction. There's this photo here is actually a cooking class that I conducted at a workplace, and this is the class that I mentioned where we made the wraps. So we got together, the employees, and we did a cooking class, and everybody had a great time. It was relaxing, it was educational, it was very much team building in terms of an exercise. You can do that on your own as well. If you've got a break room, you don't need a fancy kitchen. There's a lot of things you can do without cooking in terms of assembling food. So cooking classes, outdoor group exercises, or even indoor exercises if you've got a conference room that you can assemble and do some exercises. Even, again, forming groups in terms of clubs. From a nutrition perspective, I will see in the workplace sometimes, if you've got a group of expecting moms that might form a group and talk about healthy choices for, while you're pregnant and for children. Maybe there's a group of people that are all trying to eat gluten-free, and maybe they can sort of support each other. So from a food perspective, or maybe there's just a group of you that just want to eat healthier, and you guys can encourage each other. So there's lots of food clubs that you can create with a little creativity. And then exercise classes too. Again, there's some mind trainings that are available for people that have a wellness EAP program. There's online things that you can find. And Joelle, I don't know if you have any suggestions, but there's lots of programs that can help you get organized online. And if you're of a competitive nature, I don't know if The Biggest Loser is one that you would recommend, Joelle. That's the one that always comes to my mind. It's probably a little too competitive. But anyway, competition is sometimes a great incentive. Maybe there is just a reward. If somebody exercises their 30 minutes a day, you guys can throw some money in a pot and reward with a gift card to Whole Foods. Who knows? Creativity is key. So get started. Joelle, tell them how to get started.
So we definitely acknowledge that doing this it sounds easy. Most of us know the hows, and most of us have probably heard a lot of this before, whether it's on the fitness side or the nutrition side. But actually getting it started is difficult, and then keeping it going is also a challenge. So we wanted to give you a couple of pointers on how to get it started. Most importantly is, yes, it is doable. Keep that in mind. And sometimes it's just making it, breaking it down into smaller pieces, or doing something that makes it a little bit more doable in our lives, not just that big grandiose, big goal that you can be shooting for. But so most importantly, check with your doctor. If you haven't exercised in a while, or you haven't had any of your bios done in a while, you definitely want to get with your doctor, find out where you're at. Finding out where you're at, it's a reality check, yes, but it's also good to know. Seeking information and support, this is a great way of getting information, but also there's plenty of resources out there that can give you information. But you want to take that information and do something with it. So once you get clear about what you want to do, you want to set reasonable goals. And one thing that I want to point out before I go too much farther in this is that motivation is really, really important, but also getting clear on why you want to do this, why you personally are motivated to do this. So we talked about all those benefits earlier, and we talked about all the extrinsic reasons why you might be wanting to make some of these changes. But what's really important is that you get clear for yourself about why you personally want to make some of these changes. Because if you can key in on that and hang on to that and use that as a reminder, you're much more apt to stick with whatever your goal is. So back to setting reasonable goals, there's something called SMART goals, making them as realistic as possible, measurable, achievable, breaking your goals down so that that they are doable. And then scheduling. Oh, scheduling and planning are so important. You've got to schedule. You've got to think ahead about how you're going to make these changes work. So whether it's planning your meals for the next day or maybe even for the next week, or it's looking at your schedule for the next week and looking where you can put in a half an hour of exercise or even 10 minutes or something that's doable for you, that's really, really important. You've got to take advantage of using your schedule and planning and then keeping that appointment with yourself. If you're new to exercise, getting professional support, I have seen way too often people doing exercises incorrectly. It happens in the gym a lot and happens in various different locations. So please get either get some professional help or find a reputable resource that you can get to show you proper form. Safety is so important, something I didn't mention earlier when we were talking about these exercises, especially exercises around desks, chairs that have rolling wheels, things like that. You want to keep safety in mind. That is like the foremost. Okay, starting slowly is really important as well. It ties into making reasonable your goals. And if you need to break it down into smaller pieces, please do that. And then preparing for setbacks. I always put this up because we all have setbacks. We all have time issues or some emergency that comes up or work or something. And so we have to always be prepared for these. And then how to keep these things in existence in our lives. And once again, going back to why we are making these changes, keeping that, reminding yourself about this. Taking the small steps once again, being consistent. If you fall off the wagon, get back on. Make it a smaller step. Doing something that you can keep going in the direction you want to go. Be ready with alternatives. So when those setbacks come up, when you run out of that, out of time, or you did something that you didn't want to do along, that wasn't along your nutrition goals, you want to find an alternative. Okay, so backup plans are really good. And then turning negative thoughts into positive learning. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just take it as a learning opportunity and keep moving forward. And then always doing your best.
Always doing your best. I like it. So thank you, everyone. What we're going to do now is open up our little screen here and look at your questions. If any of you have questions, feel free to type them in. I'm not seeing questions. God, now there's got to be some questions here. So we're happy to answer questions that you might have about food choices or fitness options. If anything comes up while we're waiting to see if there's any questions that come in, don't forget that, as it shows on the screen here, to register for Session 3, which is coming up on August 14th. It'll be the third session in the ChooseWell series. So we don't have any questions. So I just want to thank you. Do we? Oh, wait, there's one. I have to have the technical person. Okay, how do we create a wellness culture if we don't have support from our executive team? That's a really good question. I know that when we, my company, Nutrition Inc., goes into the workplace, we get this. It's really important to get especially middle management and executives on board with a culture of wellness. And so, I mean, it is definitely a hurdle. If there's any way that you can maybe have a frank conversation about the benefits. Maybe go back to those benefit slides that we showed. There are real benefits to a culture of wellness, benefits to the workplace. I mean, I can't imagine what executive or manager doesn't want a more productive team or people, their direct reports, who are in a better mood and who are less sick. You know, I think it's about communicating those benefits is how you get them on board. And then if they still aren't on board, I mean, there's certainly, hopefully, things you can still do during lunch or breakfast or before. Personally, that's right. So Joelle, do you want to just, okay. So yeah, certainly personally, there are things you can do to increase your own wellness. Any other questions? Oh, there we go. So why can't I see this? So why will the slide deck be available to us? Yes, it will be. It's going to be on the Minds and Associates website, probably by the end of the day, if not by first thing tomorrow. So that'll be available to you. And so maybe what you do is you show your managers the slide deck. That would be great. Let's see what other questions we have here. Okay. Great. No, those are really good questions, and thank you. And thanks to everyone for joining us today, and hopefully you'll join session 3 on August 14th. Have a great day.